World Minute, the Minute by Minute podcast reviewing 1997 sequel to Jurassic Park, 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And today we're discussing minute 34 of The Lost World. Dave, filming in Hawaii has wrapped.
Yes, it has. It's wrapped on Friday, I believe, and so we've gotten set pictures out from Real News Hawaii and Jurassic Outpost, and I think even Sci-Fi made a post about it. It was, these pictures came out of Owen, Chris Pratt's, and Bryce Dallas Howard's new costumes. They're both wearing a bit darker versions of their previous costumes, Bryce Dallas Howard especially. She's wearing like these kind of safari khakis, and Owen's vest is a bit more rugged now. It's got new doodads all over it, new pockets.
Yeah. It's not really spoiled. It's been posted up on local news sites and that as well. Even TV news. They shut off a section of highway on the coast where they had a big crane with a filming cage and that, filming this little cove where our two heroes seem to wash ashore. Well, they're in the water anyway and come ashore on the beach. I have to love that. One of the main discussion points I'm seeing about it is the fact that Bryce is wearing boots and not high heels, which, come on, seriously. Seriously.
Did anybody really think they're going to make her wear high heels in this movie?
But just, I know it's been done to death. There was a case here, end of last year. A female police officer was out on enjoying the night off duty. Someone came up, she was with a group of her friends, and someone came up and grabbed, I don't know if it was her or a friend's handbag, and she was in heels and she chased him down.
Nice.
Which when I heard that news come across the radio, I'm like, okay, that leaves me to have zero issue with that scene in that movie.
Yeah, really.
So it's not petty. It's just sad when you're looking at little stuff like that to nitpick, especially when there's other issues. But
like the smallest thing about the movie to nitpick about too.
Yeah. No, we got Bryce and Chris. Soka went on the beach. What it does in the film is anyone's guess. But this was officially the last thing shot. Now, I think there was word there may be a couple of reshoots done at the airstrip, I think. But apart from that, pretty much everyone's sets are getting packed up, or as reported, torn down. Which I don't like to use that word because that's bad.
I know, sad. I wonder what's going to happen to some of the props you've seen over in the valley there. I wonder what's going to happen to them, if they're going to auction them off after the movie or something, or if they're just going to sit and rot in Universal's prop studio. You know?
Yeah, well, we know there's a handful of bunkers. It doesn't seem to be just a single bunker that's there, and it's all on the ranch. So I'd hope they kept the Indominus Rex enclosure for the most part intact after the film.
That I think they left because that's not only on a private ranch, but they give tours. Yeah, they give tours on that.
Yeah, and some of the footage we've been seeing coming out from the production over there is from the ATV tour that goes past where the bunkers were built. So I'm hoping that they decide or let the ranch keep one of those at least there as well, because it's just Jurassic bunker. It has that feel, it has that look.
Yeah, it definitely has that kind of Jurassic look to it, that very utilitarian, bare concrete covered in vines and plants and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, you've been sharing some screen caps from the unformatted 35mm print of Jurassic Park recently, and just seeing like the maintenance building, the front emergency bunker, just sort of that architecture. Back in the spotlight again. It does remind you a lot of what we're seeing from production, which can be good, can be bad, but. We'll look at that in a few months' time when we start getting trailers and promotional stuff. All right. If that's it, we'll ready to get into minute 34?
Sure.
Rightio. As we enter the 33rd minute of The Lost World, we get a reveal of Roland Tembo, telling Peter Ludlow to cancel the order for setting up base camp. As we start the 34th minute, Roland tells Ludlow that this is a game trail and that predators hunt on game trails. At 33 minutes and 10 seconds, Ludlow brings the microphone back to his mouth and says, "Let's find a new spot, shall we?" Over and out. At 33 minutes and 14 seconds, Roland Tembo goes into one of the best monologues seen in film history. Ludlow sits and listens while he gets dressed down by the big white hunter. Roland discusses Dieter's in charge when he and RJ aren't around. His fee tells Ludlow to keep it, that he only wants the right to hunt one of the Tyrannosaurs, a buck, male only. Ludlow doesn't like that. He's been on too many safaris with rich dentists to listen to any more suicidal ideas. Okay. At 33 minutes and 51 seconds, Ludlow smiles and gives a thumbs up and replies, "Okay." At 33 minutes and 52 seconds, we cut to a motorcycle on a Humvee, leaping into the air over a hidden obstacle. The Humvee crashes into the ground, seemingly out of action. At 33 minutes and 55 seconds, we cut and get a massive lens flare as the command jeep races into a herd of animals, running in fear. Over the radio, Roland calls for a cycle to break off a straggler from the herd and flush it to the right. And this ends minute 34 of The Lost World. Alright, Ludlow asking Roland why he's going to cancel his order. I'm just going to play the whole audio section now.
Alright.
Peter, if you want me to run your little camping trip, there are two conditions. Firstly, I'm in charge, and when I'm not around, Dieter is. All you need to do is sign the checks, tell us we're doing a good job, and open your case of scotch when we have a good day. Second condition, my fee. You can keep it. All I want in exchange for my services is the right to hunt one of the Tyrannosaurs. A male, a buck only. How and why are my business. Now, if you don't like either of those two conditions, you're on your own. So go ahead, set up base camp right here, or in a swamp, or in the middle of a wreck's nest, for all I care. But I've been on too many safaris with rich dentists to listen to any more suicidal ideas. Okay? Okay.
Yeah, 'cause that's a really good speech.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites in movies in general. Roland just takes Ludlow and serves him his own ass on a silver platter.
Yeah.
It's great. Just says, you know what? Screw you. Screw InGen. Screw this whole project. I'm just here for my own gains, and I don't care what you have to say about that. And if you don't like it, screw you too.
Yeah, he just he just has this authority. We'll get to the Mombasa bar in a minute, but because this is his introduction, really, in the film. Just no nonsense. He's done this hundreds of times before, as he says, with rich dentists, and he doesn't want to listen to any more suicidal ideas. It just says everything about him in a 25-second speech.
Yeah, and I can just imagine being out on the African savannah, the high grass is there, and he's with some rich dentist in a Hawaiian shirt and green shorts, and looks just like he is now on Isla Sorna, like trying to blend in with the grass.
Yep.
And the rich dentist is standing there whistling, maybe drunk, you know. Just being the worst possible sort of tourist you can imagine, you know?
Yeah. And another interesting little flub here, and it's hard not to notice, but while they're talking, you can clearly see roads that they're travelling on.
Yeah, you can. You can bring that up.
Yeah, and it's easy to see, not so much the road itself, but the fact they're talking and there's no rough terrain or anything they're travelling over, where you see exterior shots and the jeeps are bouncing all over the place.
Well, the game trail area, Patrick's Point ceremonial rock there is pretty flat in the first place, and I'll post a picture up of where that is, because it's a really beautiful spot, and I got some great pictures there. And the road they're on, it takes you about 30 at the speed they're going. They probably took 2 shots going along in the same direction along that road.
Yeah. Because
it would have taken them 30 seconds. It's a very short road.
Yep.
And so another thing is they can see that when they're behind them, when you look behind them, you can see the trees, And what's funny is right on the other side of the trees is where they're filming the Hammond's team's encampment.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that's what you seen when you posted up the base camp shots. Saw the non-news TV screen stuff of that. You've pretty much got a line of trees on the side of their base camp, and then that sort of opens out to this whole open plain, which is used for the game trail.
Yeah, this whole section here is pretty much all done at Patrick's Point State Park. We right after this scene when they're looking around and there's dinosaurs all over next to them. That's at the private ranch in Fieldbrook, California.
Yep.
But right now we're pretty much all at Patrick's Point.
Yep. Yep. And I will retract an earlier statement. We do see one road here, or in a future minute, with the when the snagger's driving up to get the packy. It is clearly on a formed road. But we can get to that in a future minute. Now,
because I know that there's like an off-road kind of like trail with tire tracks at the location now.
Yeah.
When you view the behind the scenes, I think they're still like in the middle of the guy's backyard at Fieldbrook.
Yeah. All right, Mombasa. We talked about the boardroom scene when we thought that come into it. We sort of skipped the cutscene of Roland's introduction,
which is a great introduction. It's probably one of my favorite introductions, if not the best of my favorite introductions around.
Yeah, he's just quietly having a drink at a bar. Again, rich or irritating white men in there drinking heavily, getting rowdy, annoying the bar staff. RJ, he can smell RJ's cologne from a mile away.
Yeah. Either RJ is just putting it on too heavily, or Roland just has that good of a nose. You know?
Yep. And as he said, it's the same cologne he sends him every Christmas, so he's he definitely knows the scent of it. But we get that they start talking about an expedition to Costa Rica. He's not interested in it at all.
No, he just wants to sit up in Mombasa, eat his lunch, and read his paper. That's pretty much what he was doing.
Yeah, you know? He says to RJ, "You go up to my ranch, you have a look around the trophy wall, and tell me what quarry would draw me to another expedition." But before, that's after he punches the guy out.
That's great.
The great scene. I could take you out with a hand behind the back, and he starts.
Of course, I meant my hand, and then he just straight out knocks him his ass.
He's the white guy's sitting there watching Roland get his arm tied behind his back. He's like, "You old stupid old man, I meant my hand," and then he just turns around, doesn't even give him a chance, just turns around and clocks him in the jaw. RJ says, "You're doing it for fun, aren't you? That bored?"
Yeah, and another thing I do like about the scene is it kind of shows Roland's nobility in the idea that not only is he doing it to protect the waitress, but then he turns to Ajay and says that he got bored with hunting simply because they were too good.
Yeah.
He likes the idea of the chase. He likes the idea of it being difficult for him, and it just became too easy for him, and that's why he got bored with it and stopped doing it.
Yep.
That's great because there's a lot of hunters out there that frankly, and this is just me speaking as a hunter myself. There's a lot of people out there that I think hunt and do it just for the idea of having something to mount on their wall. They don't do it for the enjoyment. They don't do it to be kind of one with nature, which is what I like to do when I go hunting. They just kind of do it. Come on, what's the best way I can shoot something and shoot something fast, you know?
Yeah, well, we have a similar thing here. We've got a lot of like fellow deer in the mountains, and even my brother and he got a nice rack last weekend, and so he'd go up and park early on a Saturday morning, and he'd probably walk 10 miles, like up all on foot, just walking through the bush, hunting deer, and was able to get a kill shot. Now, it's like playing the poker machines. Or gambling. That's the one win out of probably 1,000 losses, where you're up there, you're spending a lot of time knee deep in mud, going through the bush looking for your quarry, and a lot of times you have that near shot. There's always that pesky branch you step on and scare everything away, and I don't think Roland has to worry about that, but it's part of hunting. It's sort of the thrill of the hunt. Whereas you just get other people, they'll jump on a motorbike with a rifle and they'll just ride through the bush until they find something and sort of chase it down and kill it, and just no sport.
Yeah, that's not fun. I see no joy in just going out there and just to shoot something. I take joy in being in nature, and I take joy in being part of nature, and being in hunting is one way a human can be part of nature.
Yep.
We are predators,
And before we lose our vegan listeners or anything like that, the meat's kept. None of the animal goes to waste. It's not. It's not just shoot, take a photo, and leave.
I always bring it to my local butcher. I never just shoot and just for. I mean, I will take the head, but usually that actually kind of grosses me out. So I usually have the guy throw that away or keep it or do whatever he wants with it. I say I don't want that, but the meat is really good. I remember when I was a kid, the first time I had venison was this girl. She used to go hunting with her dad, and she brought in deer jerky, and it was really, really good.
Yep. Anyway, back to the minute.
Yeah.
The Lost World Minute's jerky recipes for venison. So yeah, it's interesting. This scene was cut from the film. It wasn't in the shooting in the pre-San Diego script. So it was something that was added later on. It does introduce the characters quite well. We get a lot more of RJ, which is great, and just the sort of stuff between the two of them. They're seasoned hunters. They've been doing it for a long time. Now, there was always a speculation going around that this might have been a gay couple, but you mentioned before that Roland's actually got a wedding ring around his neck.
He does, yes.
That we can clearly see.
He's got a gold band wedding ring and some kind of like round, I think it's silver trinket on a beaded chain.
Yeah, and it's not hidden. We see it pretty clearly, and same with Ludlow in the opening scene where he's on the radio. His hand is up and there's a clear wedding band there, but looking at the screen, which I don't know what Spielberg was going for, but
just probably give the character some little background.
Yeah.
It adds up. It does add depth to the character when you see that kind of stuff. It doesn't say. It tells you that he's married. Okay, does he? It brings up the question: do they have kids? Do they? Are their wives living or dead?
It just makes it sadder later on if his demise. Did he leave anyone behind?
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but yeah, you're right.
The Mombasa scene. I don't know where that would have come in the finished film, if it would be before they go to Eddie's workshop, maybe in between.
That's what I wanted to mention was when they air the full extended cut on Sci-Fi and TNT and channels like that, they usually include it right after right before Eddie's shop and right after the John Hammond scene.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be where it would fit.
Yeah. And so I always speculate that it was cut because of pacing. The Lost World is one of those movies where you got to choose between, where the editor had to choose between, do I want good pacing or do I want good character development? And a lot of character development just gets sacrificed in this movie because because a lot of movies been edited so that it's paced better. And there's one of those things that I love about the scene is that we do get more AJ. Because it kind of feels like that without the scene, and in general, the way that the movie is cut, we don't get a lot of Ajay, and he's kind of delegated to the side character that we don't really know much about. That was maybe sad because I like the character. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't, because he's sort of shifted to so much of a side character, it doesn't really give him much explanation of what happens later on in the long grass and all that, but it's sort of bringing in Dieter, Peter Stormare's character, sort of comes in and takes over what RJ should have been doing, I feel.
Yeah, really.
But it's Peter Stormare, I love him and everything, so.
I like him as the crazy Russian in Armageddon.
Yeah, yep. He does sort of a similar role in Bad Boys too as well, but
I've never seen that one actually.
Yeah. We get the end of the monologue, we get an okay, and Ludlow replies okay, and cut to the Hummer and motorbike jumping over an obstacle.
Yeah, it's like a small hill or something. I'm not sure where they shot that. It's not at the Patrick's Point spot, so I'd have to say it's probably at Fieldbrook. They shot that launch, and then they'd go back, and you can see the shot of Roland when he's giving commands, and he says like the Friar Tuck is coming up on your right or something like that.
Yep.
And that's shot at Fieldbrook because you can see the ferns laying on the ground. I'm sorry, not Fieldbrook. That's shot at Patrick's Point. You can see the ferns on the ground behind them and the trees.
Yeah, well, I definitely feel that that would have been a jump that they've brought in. It wouldn't be a natural obstacle. They've dressed the front of it to look like ferns and maybe a fallen log, but when that Hummer hits the ground, you can see metal. They're pretty bulletproof, but they do have to adhere to the laws of physics and gravity. And when that thing comes back down, it comes down on such a steep angle that
and it's a heavy piece of machinery, so is coming down hard, and some pieces are going to fall off, and it definitely can't be good for the shocks.
No. So I'd dare say that's their first vehicle out of action. Without even.
We do see later. Or it might be a different Hummer that we see where it has the satellite dish linked up to it.
Yeah, well, there's a couple. There's that one with the satellite dish on the back of it, which we don't see before then. And you got a couple here that have just sort of got a light cage rail going around the rear bed. More so just so people don't fall out of the back than actually housing animals.
I think that one may have been one of the Unamogs, actually.
Oh, okay, yep. So, yeah, and we get a pretty heavy lens flare, and we get the command, I'll call it the command jeep, racing into a herd, and you got the radio for the cycle to flush a stray or straggler to the right, and that's where the minute ends, but we're sort of going into the herd.
Yeah, another thing I do love about the command jeep here is how it's the same kind of jeep as what Burke and his assistant are in, but it has the ghillie net over it, and I love that kind of. I love the ghillie net more so here than as a set dressing.
Yeah.
Because we do see it around in the first Jurassic Park and in this Jurassic Park being used to dress the sets at night, so that you can't really see the studio behind it.
Yep.
And another thing I love about this is Ludlow's got his own personal little chair in the back there.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to build one of these Jeeps and have that own little personal chair in the back there, like a private chauffeur.
Well, that's it, and it helps that Roland can be in the front in the passenger seat. He can stand up, have a good view of what's going on. He's got the headset on with the communications, the radio. Now he just says cycle, so he's talking to one motorbike, or unless all the motorbikes are classified as team cycle.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I think there might just be the one motorbike. I'm not sure. Or is there?
No, I thought there was a couple.
Was there?
Yeah. We'll definitely find out when we get to later minutes.
All right.
Yeah, I thought there was more than one. But then it leads to the whole issue we get when we get to base camp and everything being sabotaged. Because a motorcycle is pretty much what you'd want to go across country to the operations building.
Yeah, really.
But,
and of course, also looking at these Jeeps, they got they got extra gas strapped to the side there. They got butterfly doors, and I love those. Those are like the epitome of cool.
Yep.
And then looking at the Outrigger Jeep, there's they've actually the Command Jeep and Burke's Jeep actually have the spare tire strapped to the back of the Jeep like on a normal one.
Mm-hmm.
But the Outrigger actually has the roll cage goes all the way extends all the way back to the back of the frame, and the spare tire is actually in the front of the Jeep. It acts almost like a bumper for it.
Yeah, and it's just sort of subtle little changes between each Jeep design. Because I think Burke's as well has got sort of a it hasn't got a door; it's just got a steel frame that that opens up sort of like the DeLorean, like the gull wing.
Yeah,
it's just a steel frame just opens up, which is quite cool as well.
Yeah. Now, of course, the third type that we see is this enclosed Jeep that Carter hides behind when they're rounding up the Pachycephalosaurus in the next minute here.
Yeah.
He has to be on the door, and then the Packy smashes into the door, and he rolls out the other side. He rolls out from the passenger side and out the driver's side door.
Yep.
And so it's got a ghillie net on the top. It's got the gas tank strapped to the back. So I'm not actually sure where this Jeep has its spare tire. Might be underneath it or something. I'm not sure, but it has a full enclosed, and it looks like it's a normal Jeep with it's a normal hard top Jeep that they really didn't do much to. It looks like they took out the windshield and put the graded windshield there, and it has the bars over the front of it. But that seems to be about all they did to it.
Well, that's the same with some of the Unimogs as well. Like, they didn't really go overboard customization. They put some bars across the windscreen. That's it. Like, there's no door protection, and like they're pretty battle ready as they are before they get modified like this. But
and there's shots of the Unimogs. I'll put up on our Facebook page that shows that there's this one Unimog that they you can see. I don't know if it's at Universal or because it looks like there's a guy dressed as Indiana Jones riding in the driver's seat. And I'll put the pictures up. I'll find them in my thing, and I'll put the pictures up on Facebook. But it's not like the Unimog that we typically see.
Yep.
We saw in this minute. It's got a full enclosed back to it, and so just wanted to bring that up, I guess.
Yep. No, there's a lot of concept art out there. We can post some of it up in the group on the page as well. Just of Unimogs with sort of masts with I'm guessing the sniper or something, or a lookout goes up in. A lot of other sort of containment vehicles. There's the garbage truck type one, and because that's one thing that's sort of missing here. Nothing says containment. Nothing's got a cage, like animal cage. Later when we get the scene with the snagger getting the packy, there's there's confusion. Okay, does that lift it up and put it in to another Jeep? Does it put it into the back of its own bed?
Well, that brings up the question. You don't see any cages on. They didn't bring any of the cages with them on the game trail, so you have to assume they're back at base camp. Which begs the question: how did they wrangle these big animals once they got them down and stick them into these cages?
Well, the classic one, which we see at the end of this sequence, the the Parasaurolophus, like where's that going? What?
Exactly, that's a big animal.
You almost want a big cage like the Tyrannosaur we see later on a truck.
Exactly.
And that's why, and we'll get to it later on with the way timing is and that. I believe the Venture's already here. It has to be.
Yeah, really.
The SS Venture has to be already here with its cargo. There's a team already unloading it and setting up base camp now while these guys are out. Because it's just, as I said earlier, 7 helicopters, only 6 of them carrying equipment that we see. And now everyone's here, everyone's set up. Yet there's no cages, no containment equipment, apart from the snagger, which Yeah. We'll get to it in the next minute.
Yeah, and of course the storyboards and concept art actually go into this. As the helicopter's leaving Isla Sorna that the survivors are in, we see it after it flies over the Tyrannosaurus. We can see it flying in towards a dock, and at the dock is the SS Venture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, there's also at the dock. We also see in this concept art one of those special helicopters where nobody rides in. It's just the cockpit. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, Ericsson Sky Crane.
Yeah, one of those. And he's lifting the cage up, and that's how they got the cage onto the SS Venture.
Yeah. Well, again, we've and it's sort of, this is going into high heels nitpicking territory here, but we've never seen a dock, what the Sorna dock looked like, whether there's cranes, whether the cranes are still functional.
Yeah, true.
All that sort of stuff. Like, okay, if you can get a Chinook in to lift a Hummer, lift a Unimog, then I'm sure you can get to lift a T-Rex or a larger animal.
A T-Rex weighs 6 or 7 tons for himself, and then he put the weight of a full metal cage on top of that. That's another.
Well, yeah, never been the same weight again.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it busting out of that thing if it wakes up. Oh wait, it does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's just little things like that annoy me. Like, I know, as you said before, they're cutting stuff for pacing, so there's no way they're going to include all this other stuff just to fill in these holes. But that's why we, as fans, can sort of make up our own stuff and go along with that.
Yeah, right.
Until one day we get something reintroduced into the films, which may or may not come up in Jurassic World 2. I shouldn't have to call it Jurassic World 2. Fallen Kingdom. All right. Anything else on minute 34 you want to bring up before we get out of here?
No, I think we're good.
Rightio.
All right, guys. Let's get the hell out of here.
Contact details are on the website, thelostworldminute.com. You can email feedback to thelostworldminute@gmail.com, Facebook, The Lost World Minute, Twitter @thelostworldminute, and Instagram, The Lost World Minute.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, very easy to remember. David, thank you for joining me for this record.
Welcome.
And we'll be back. I've been Brad.
I'm Dave.
And we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way.
End of last year, a female police officer was out on enjoying the night off duty. Oh, Siri, why did that set Siri off?
I can't imagine why you'd want to, but you can turn me off instead.
God. Oh, keep that for the outtakes. Why did I say officer off duty? How does any of that set Siri off? Oh, wow. Alright, I'll try that again. An off-duty police officer was out enjoying her night off, and